Ayo. Good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday to you all. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everybody's had a decent weekend. And here we are, um, another Sunday of Open Pagan Church, brought to you by House of Pagans and, well, me. Our topic today is something that has always kind of concerned me, if not downright bothered me a bit. And that is with the onslaught of people globally, not just in America, but globally, coming into or coming over to the pagan philosophy. Sometimes we see this a lot in younger people, um, early 20s, mid 20s, and then we see it again in their middle to late 30s. Many, many people, I think, get disillusioned with mainstream Christian philosophy. And I'm noticing that my bandwidth meter is not doing real well. So we may have a little bit of upstream issue going on with Facebook this morning. So kind of bear with me. Things appear to be running a bit slow. Not that any of us know anything about slow, mind you. So what do you think? What do you think? Um, of course, not knowing how long any of you have been in the pagan philosophy or have come over to the pagan religion, what are what are your thoughts about um, what are your thoughts about the people that flit in and out, right? They come over to paganism, they find out maybe it's not all the glitz and glamour and the TV magic and all of that they originally thought it was, right? But they find out that it's more or less a philosophy of acceptance. The pagan philosophy at its base is you do what you do, and I will do what I do, and hopefully we can come together for Sabbaths and do what we all do together. Now that's a real quick, excuse me, base pagan philosophy, if you will. Um, Good morning to those of you joining. Good to see you watching the live broadcast of Open Pagan Church. Again, our topic this morning is um, people that come and go in paganism. They come over to paganism for whatever reason, and they're in it for a couple of months, a couple of weeks, sometimes a year, and they get disillusioned and they bugger off. Well, at the beginning of the year, 2018, I said that, 2018, we're going to be trying to cover topics that are not always politically correct. You know, topics that might make a few people uncomfortable. Well, sometimes we need to be made just a little bit uncomfortable, don't you think? Because it makes us take a step back and maybe think about what we're doing, maybe think about our core reasons for why we're doing what we're doing. I'm going to readjust my camera just a little bit here. That's a bit better. All right, so let's think about some of the reasons people come over to paganism. Well, and I can give a pretty good percentage of the last 18, 20 years that I've been a pagan minister. Some of the things that I've seen, people come over to the pagan philosophy because, well, they've seen programs like Blair Witch Project, Charmed, um, oh hell, what's the other one that was so popular? Practical Magic. And there are witch programs every time you turn around. There's the show Supernatural that really popular for a while. The reruns are still hyper popular today. But all of these TV magic programs, very few of them actually match reality. Well, then you YouTube paganism, and a bunch of the YouTube or the earlier YouTubes, I have to go a bit retrospect on that. A bunch of the earlier YouTube back in the late 90s, early 2000s, up till about 2005, I think. 05, 06, somewhere up in there. When you When you YouTubed paganism back in the day, usually the only thing you saw was sky-clad circles, um, people dancing around in a circle with very little of nothing, um, people running amok with seemingly no social control. Yeah, no social control. Eh. But when you take a look at the reality of the pagan philosophy, there are many things that we do, I hesitate to say allow, but there are many things that we do at the core. Number one, with us, with pagans, there's really no black or white, um, good, bad, uh, white magic, black magic, evil magic. There's simply the gray. We are who we are. We're very, most of us are very open minded. You are who you are. I am who I am. And come time for Sabbath, we come together for the spirit and the celebration of the gods and goddesses and the celebration of Mother Earth. After all, paganism at its core is an earth based religion. Pagans believe in the acceptance, or at least the understanding, of the possibility of multiple gods and goddesses everywhere. You have some pagan paths that are um, matriarchal only, but they're still pagan because they do believe in the gods and the goddesses. Then you have some paths in pagan philosophy that are patriarchal only. And if you don't know what these terms are, by all means, please pause the video if you're watching the pre-recorded version later and Google them. Google's your friend. And don't take the first thing you see in Google. Read 8 or 10 or 12 different websites and kind of form your own idea. But pagans, we're not all drug sucking shag fest. Um, I won't finish that comment because it wouldn't definitely would not be a family friendly program if I did. But let's think about it for a moment. There are um, groups, and I'm going to use group as a universal term rather than having to say covens, groves, groups, whatever all the time. There are sects of uh, pagan groups that is their mantra. That is their mantra: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Hey, man, more power to you. Um, I have rules in my circle, and other pagans have rules in their circles, and you get anything outside of that, you get into a big debate and interpretation of people's paths, and I'm not going to get into that. As a pagan minister, I am required. Good morning, Kim. I am required as a pagan minister, in my own belief, to accept you for who you are. I may not understand, I may not agree with what you do or who you are, and that's fine. But I accept your right to be that way. Now here's what disillusions many pagans when they come over to the pagan philosophy. And these are these are some of the things that over the years I've seen people come in, and they come in with this idea that all of the girls in our circle are open picking, or they come in with this idea that all of the guys in our circle are open picking. There are a number of people that come into paganism with the wrong idea that everyone in paganism is polyamorous, that everyone in paganism plays around sexually with everybody else. Not everybody does that. Not everybody in the pagan philosophy is into polyamory. Not everybody in paganism is into smoking pot. I quit smoking pot in '82. I don't have a problem with it. I love the herbal aspects of it. I just don't. I don't drink alcohol. I drink the hell out of Dr. Pepper and coffee, though. Don't know why I didn't make coffee this morning. Oh, I slept in this morning. Didn't get up early enough to make coffee. Excuse me. So, I've seen people that come in and they have these misconceptions, right? Paganism is a sex fest. Paganism is a drug fest. Paganism is only about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, there, like I said, there are groups that is true. More power to you. There are groups that are extremely, um, damn, I lost the word. I have a mental block on that word. Um, Conservative. That's it. We have many pagan groups that are extremely conservative. We have many pagan groups that are extremely liberal. I don't know if I quite consider myself a liberal or if I consider myself just simply open minded. I mean, but when they find out that all of paganism is not just about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that we are actually a spiritual, honorable, open minded, for the most part, group of people that say, okay, if that's your way, then that's your way. More power to you. If you want to get out there and run amok, naked as a jaybird, rock on. Have at it. I'll be the first one to tell you. I love a good sky-clad ritual. To me, there's nothing more beautiful than standing before the god and goddess in the very suit that they born me in. Okay, I come into this world naked, and I'll go out of this world with less. Yeah, but they get disillusioned. And for those of you that are listening to our broadcast, um, maybe you're listening to the live streaming on the back door of Facebook where it really doesn't actually show you in the chat area, and that's fine. We're happy that you're listening. Maybe you're considering moving into the pagan philosophy. Maybe you are considering um, digging deeper into what paganism's all about. Okay, there are millions of groups out there. Um, that are quite willing to help you and share with you what it's about. You can go over to our Open Pagan Church YouTube and look at the videos from last year where we discussed what paganism is, what its base is, what its core is. Join us here every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Central Time for our different topics. And by all means, ask your questions. We're more than happy to answer them for you. But if you're coming into it for the first time and you're coming from a philosophy of black, white, right, wrong, heaven, hell, you know, if you're good, you'll go to heaven. If you're bad, you'll go to hell. If you're coming into paganism from that philosophy, okay. But I'm going to ask you to leave that philosophy at the door, right? When you step into paganism and you start studying what it is, where it's from, how it come about, all of the different paths within paganism, and there's thousands of them, you're you're going to find that we are a very spiritual organization. Um, Ask in the chat, can I link Open Pagan Church to my group? Absolutely. We are honored you would want to do so. Anyone that wants to link Open Pagan Church to your groups, absolutely. Um, I will say this so that it's verbal. I will say this again so that it's verbal. if you if you want to go over to YouTube and download and distribute our videos, you're welcome to do so. There are no copyrights on our videos. They're done free. They're done for the freedom of whoever wants to listen to them. And I mean, hey, if you make a buck on them, I have a PayPal account. Share a few pennies. Joking. But yes, you're welcome to share our groups, share our videos, download them, do whatever you want to do with them. Absolutely. There. Legal disclaimer. Done. That message was brought to you by Open Pagan Church. Dun dun dun. Right. Hey, you gotta have fun with it, right? So yes, newcomers in the pagan philosophy, they do get disillusioned. They do get disheartened. Okay. I mean, when I first started researching it was essentially because I was lost. A friend of mine on the internet at the time. I had been chatting with them since 94, 95, when I first got on the internet. And when I first started researching the different belief systems, because I knew where I was at the time wasn't for me, she told me, she said, look up pagan. 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 And paganism. Okay. All right. Cool. I did. After about a month of muddling through all of the different, what few websites there were available, in the late 90s, I was hooked. Meditation. I began to understand what spirit guide is. I began to understand what the gods and goddesses are. I began to understand what shamanism is, which is what my path is. Begin to understand the triad, Great Spirit, God, and Goddess. Ta-da, you know. Um, I begin to understand what androgynous beings are. All of these things I've always believed, but I never had terms or words or understanding for them. So, those of you that are coming in with maybe perhaps a misconception of what the pagan philosophy is about, we're not devil worshippers. Ooh. Pagans do not believe in hell. Pagans do not believe in the devil. Now, Luciferianism, I've got several friends that follow Luciferianism. And for the most part, they're a little eccentric, but they're a spiritual people. Luciferianism, by the way, if you're curious, is a monotheistic belief system. Luciferians believe in one only male Lucifer. So there you go. Anything outside of that, I ain't got a clue. Look it up. Pagans aren't devil worshippers. All pagans are not into casting black magic. I have not learned how to make things hover. I'm not so stuck on myself that I think my magic is strong enough that if somebody makes me angry, I can thump them from the back of the head while driving down the road and make them run off the road. Not my intention. Don't want the karma. If you think that paganism is the magic that we used to watch on Bewitched back in the 60s and 70s, no. If you think that paganism is a sex fest, that's not what paganism is. If you think that pagans are just into drugs and it gives them a excuse to do so, no, that's not what paganism is. So if you're coming into it to attempt to just have freedom to run amok, there are groups in the pagan philosophy where they do run amok. Okay, cool. Seek them out. If you're looking for them, there is enough people in the HOP, the House of Pagans, that I'm sure one of us somewhere, somehow, might know a group of pagans that simply run amok. Amok, amok, amok. Okay. So that's kind of that. If you're coming into paganism because you think you can do anything you want to and there's no retribution, you're wrong. If you think you can come into paganism and do anything you want to our young boys and girls, you're wrong. So that is the first half hour spent talking about the wrong reasons to come in to the pagan philosophy. The wrong reasons. Yeah. But it truly is why many people come over and why many people want to come over and check it out. So, what are uh-uh. KW is making pancakes. I'll take two, please. The woman can cook some pancakes. The woman can also prepare a mean deviled egg. Anyway, I digress. Um, I want to take about 30 seconds, and maybe a minute and a half, clear my throat out a little bit, clear my sinuses out a little bit. So I'm going to flip over to the other screen. I'm going to mute my mic so that I don't do all of this in your ear. But while we're on break, I'm not going to have any music, so it's going to be quiet. So don't think your sound isn't working. But while we're on break, when we come back, I would like input what some of you think, some of the things you've seen that newcomers into the pagan philosophy have shown you or have told you. We'll be back in just a moment. Open Pagan Church. And we're back. Open Pagan Church, our topic today is, in this next half hour, is the why so many people come over to paganism and then they just come and they go and they come and they go. In this half hour, I'd like to talk about some of the ones that I've known through the years that have come and went, come and went, come and went. And some of the psychology that I've learned behind it. And I kind of start with many, many years myself of days crazed and confused about what the hell I was looking for because um, I was raised by a set of, for the most part, very open minded folk. I was not forced to go to church, any church. I wasn't forced to believe anything. I was taught to believe that there is something, whether it's God, Jesus, whatever. I was taught to believe, you must believe in something. Okay. Tried my hand at Christian church. I was a deacon. I was on the choir. But the core wasn't there. It wasn't It wasn't me, it was missing something. And so I started searching. And the tools we had in the 80s when I really started searching, we didn't have the internet. I didn't know people of open pagan circles at the time. Um, the wife I was married to at the time, her family was a wonderful family. They were very active in their local Baptist church. My mother-in-law at the time, excuse me, my mother-in-law at the time was a very open-minded, very acceptive woman. I sit and talked with her for hours. Very spiritually wise, and she told me even then, I don't know what it is you're looking for. You have questions I can't answer. I don't know where those answers are at. And she told me something that really made me feel good. She said, at the core, you're a good man. You're a good person. You care about people. You care about people well-being. And but whatever it is you're looking for, and she said, I can't believe I'm going to say this. She said, I don't think you're going to find it in the Christian church. I like to, I like to fell out of my chair. But how many of us have heard that through the years? How many of us have thought that through the years? So we kind of have this idea planted in the back of our head that there is an old religion. In movies, you hear people talk about the old way, the old religion. The heathens. Um, then later, someone decided along the way that the pagan religion would be called Wicca. No, Wicca, Wiccanism, is a denomination of paganism. And I will say that until I'm dead, and I will still probably haunt you people and say, no. It doesn't take much to look up where the word pagan came from. It doesn't take much to look up what it used to mean. But we all know now what it has come to mean. So when you come and go, and I mean, get me wrong, I know some unbelievably wonderful people that have came in to the pagan philosophy. They lived it 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they get lost, they get disillusioned, they get bored, and they go back over to Christianity for a while, or they go to atheism for a while because either something or someone has happened in their or during their tenure in paganism that disillusions them with the thoughts of what gods and goddesses are going to or are supposed to do. Sometimes people come into paganism with the thought programmed process that God controls all. God knows everything that's going to happen before it happened with everybody on this planet. Well, I'm a bit of a realist. I'm not a pessimist, and I'm not an optimist. I'm a realist. I like to look at the reality and the different realities of different things. And I have always had, excuse me, I've always had a, not necessarily a problem, but I don't believe that a single God, male, masculine only, that a single God, am I still broadcasting? Okay, that was weird. All right, if I'm still broadcasting live, Chrome just crashed. So hang in there just a moment because Chrome just crashed. You're still there, they say. Oh, that's just weird. Okay, hang tight with me. I'm trying to get back into the live feed so that I can see if anyone is if anyone's actually posting. Uh, Page. I apologize. This is weird. I have never had this happen before. All right, hang in there. Hey, I'm back. All right. Okay, that was really, really weird. All right. Chrome just completely crashed and went away. But yet, um, OBS, my broadcasting software, um, my broadcasting software held me to it. Wow. Anyway, okay, where was I going? Yeah. So for me, I always figured there's something going on. There's something bigger than what mainstream society is assuming is there. So I started my study. So for me, the psychology of it is human beings always seem to want more. We always want more that we can't have. Um, when someone tells us we can't have or can't do something, it makes us want it that much more. And I mean, I'm just as guilty of it as everybody else. Not so much these days because I like to think I've gotten a little older and maybe a little wiser. But what about you? I've seen people leave the pagan philosophy for a couple of years and come back ready to start over from the basics and rebuild their foundation and work their way up. I have all the respect in the world for those people, always. And we still have people that come, they get disillusioned, and they go. And then we have those that, when we had our circle in Liberty, we had a lot of kids that would come through, young people that would come through. They were in and out. They would come to circle one week. Oh, this is for me. I'm back. I'm never going to leave again. I want to find a path. I want to find out who's me. And next week, I would hear through the grapevine, they're sitting back in their family church. Okay, if that's what you want to do, rock on. But you're going to spend your life confused. I always tell people, I'm not going to make you make a choice. Life is. I'm not going to make you make a choice. Life is going to make you make a choice. And I have known and worked with people that have left both the pagan and the Christian philosophies and gone over to atheism for whatever reason. I never ask them why. I never ask why. Because I figure that if someone wants to share the why with me, they'll tell me. So I don't ever ask why people leave paganism or leave Christianity or, you know. Sometimes I may ask, what brought you to the pagan philosophy? You know, I want to know what brought them to paganism, not what run them away from Christianity or Judaism or whatever, wherever they come from. So let's read some of the live chat. Uh, Dave says I'm very pagan, though I don't get around the community much. I don't either much anymore. I really don't. I haven't had a lot of time as of late, and we haven't had much time or money or anything else to get out and seek and find local pagans. Yeah, you know, um, I'm the same way. You know, I have people that love me and trust me, and I've got people that still come to me for guidance that were in the HOP down south, and they're still active in the HOP, but they branched off and doing their own thing, and we still chat when we can. Dave says, I don't get along with Fluffy. Yeah, well, that's kind of a topic for another discussion. Fluffy. Anyway, I digress. The psychology that I have studied for those who come and go, most of them have a dedication problem. They have a committal problem. And it's neither a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing. Many people who bounce in and out and in and out and in and out. And I'm not talking about those who left the Christian church, came over to paganism for 4 years or so, give it plenty of time to see if it's what they wanted, and ended up back in the Christian church for another 5 years or 4 years or even 2 or 3 years, and they really give it a go. They dedicate themselves to the Christian church. They're really, trying to find what it is their spirit is looking for, and they just don't. So they find themselves right back into the pagan circle, and there they stay. So if you're going to step out of something, give it a couple of years. You're not going to know anything in 6 or 8 or even 10 months. Give it a couple of years. It takes a couple of years for the new to wear off and for you to actually realize, hey, this particular religion has rules. So the psychology of it is we get disillusioned. We get bored. We're human. Humans get bored. If things are not happening to keep our attention, we we begin to kind of bugger off and look around for attention elsewhere. I mean, I'm one of the world's worst about getting sidetracked. A squirrel. I, you know, um, Black bikini. Oh, yeah, I said that. Family channel. Sorry. Um, so I do get sidetracked. People get sidetracked. But my core is pagan. And I searched for years before, um, even in the early days of the HOP circle. I was just a pagan. I told everybody, I'm just a baby pagan. I'm learning. I'm learning what it is, what it means, what it is. And before I knew it, people were calling me a pagan minister. It's not something I started. I kept telling them, no. I had a, at that time, I had a misunderstanding of there is actually a difference between a priest, a preacher, and a minister. A priest, a preacher, and a minister. I'll let you look up those differences. But to me, a minister is someone that is there as a spiritual guide, someone that's there to share wisdom, but not judge you for the paths or the decisions you make. Just say, are you sure you want to? Are you sure you want to do that? I typically won't tell people you're wrong. I will typically say, why do you want to do that? Why do you think it's a good idea? So if you're finding yourself, and I want to kind of wind down with this, right? If you're finding yourself jumping in and out of religion to religion to religion to religion, I've always had a thought that I recommended to people. And these are those people that bouncy, 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 bouncy. They don't ever want to make a choice. They don't ever want to make a decision. Um, Dave. Um, I've always made a recommendation to people that pull back a bit. Stop searching so hard for your lost keys. Kind of a weird analogy. But a lost religion is kind of like a set of lost car keys. The harder you look for them, the more you wind yourself up. Because after all, if you don't find your car keys, you can't go to the grocery store. If you don't find your car keys, you can't go to work. You can't do all of the other things that require an automobile to do, perhaps. Perhaps. But a lost religion is like a set of lost car keys. The harder you look for it, the more you wind yourself up, the more you listen to society going, you must be Christian or you'll go to hell. Or you listen to other forms of society going, don't follow Christian, they're a bunch of hypocrites. Well, I will tell you, not all Christians are hypocrites. And I will tell you, not all pagans are not hypocrites. Not all pagans are not hypocrites, right? We have just as many hypocritical pagans as they do hypocritical Christians. I'll tell you, I've known a boatload of them. So if you're confused, take some time. I don't recommend taking a half a freaking lifetime because you waste a bunch of time. Seek out open groups. Go, introduce yourself. Um, I've gone to open groups and said, hey, do you mind if I hang? I'm just kind of trying to find out where I belong. People respect that. People do not respect someone that comes into their circle talking about how much they know or how much they think they know. People respect someone that come into circle and say, hey, I'm Don. I'm brand new to paganism. I don't know much about it, but I'm just trying to learn. And sit back and keep your mouth shut. Maybe ask a question or two, and you'll learn. And we say the same thing in the HOP, right? People that join the House of Pagans group on Facebook, we tell them, open questions. Ask your questions. Learn. We will learn from you. You'll learn from us. If you decide paganism's not for you, but you decide to stay in the group, to continue to chat, Christians are welcome. Atheists are welcome. Um, Satanic, demonic, Luciferian, vampirism, pagan, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu. Oh hell, I can go on and on. You're all welcome in the HOP. All we ask is that you respect. Respect. But the onslaught of people that have been coming over to paganism over the last 20 years is amazing. The interesting part is only 1% stay. Only 1% that I have seen actually stick around long term. Most pagan groups are nothing, absolutely nothing like what you see on TV. Remember that if you're watching this video later, the pre-recorded version or whatever, paganism is not what you see on TV or in movies. Enjoy the movie, leave the movie magic at the door, and come on in and sit a spell. You're welcome. Thank you for watching Open Pagan Church. We'll see you next week right here, hopefully with another good topic. Have a great day.